Rebecca Rowe. The bacteria I chose is Helicobater pylori. It has a spiral shape which makes it good at hydrodynamics. There's the flagella, which promotes movements throughout cells, urease that neutralizes acids, adhesions, the nucleoid and ribosomes, which host DNA information and transports it, and the cell wall and cell membrane that protects the bacteria cell. The overall size on average is 3.5 microns by 0.5 microns. H. pylori loves cholesterol. It needs it to do its job. And cholesterol can be found in a human cell. The human cell also has ribosomes, but instead they have a nucleus. That's where their DNA is stored. They have a mitochondria, which is just the powerhouse of the cell. And they have several other things like smooth and rough endoplasmic reticulum and plasma membrane. Just to go into a little bit detail, chloroplast is found in plants. That's where they find energy. They're also eukaryotic cells, but they're not ones we're focusing on today. The cytoskeleton and extracellular components of the eukaryotic cells provide support, motility, and function connections. All of those different parts, plus more, is what makes up the structure of a eukaryotic cell. Then for the prokaryotic cell, like I mentioned for H. pylori and other bacteria, there's the nucleoid, where the DNA is stored, cell wall, cell membrane, ribosomes, and the flagellum. And that's what makes up the structure of a prokaryotic cell. H. pylori is a human-specific gastric pathogen. It's actually found in about half of the world's population. It is found specifically in the stomach and small intestine of the human who is the host for H. pylori. The infection can be anything from a mild case of gastritis to peptic ulcers to gastric cancer. About more than half of the population who's infected with H. pylori will have no symptoms at all. Most individuals will have some sort of gastritis, even though a lot will be asymptomatic. About 10% of infected people will have more severe things like peptic ulcer disease and atrophic gastritis, but only 1% of people with H. pylori will ever get gastric cancer. That is the most severe case. With that information of 1% with cancer, it caused the WHO, the World Health Organization, to declare H. pylori as the first bacterial class 1 carcinogen in 1994. And usually there's not just one strand of H. pylori in any given host. There can be multiple, which causes a lifetime home for the bacteria in the host. Like I mentioned above, H. pylori acquires cholesterol. They love it. They use it for what they need to do. That's found in the membrane raft of eukaryotic cells. They take the cholesterol and then they can avoid immune system responses and resist antibiotics. The wild type form of the bacteria H. pylori contains more cholesterol than a mutation that can be made in the lab. And H. pylori can be passed on through saliva, vomit, stool, or in contaminated food and water, saliva and vomit and stool. It alters the signaling pathway in the host cell, so the body can't respond to that bacteria and get rid of it. It encodes a substrate called for secretion system, or TFSS, and that translocates cells to the host, changing the cell signaling pathway that is found in the inner membrane, located ATPases, and provides energy for the translocation. The protein is identified as CAG-A. It's fairly large, it's antigenetic, and it avoids the immune system of the host. This protein, it affects the cell signal pathway, but it also affects cell junctions. Here are my sources.